What's up, everybody? We are back with a new episode today. It has been quite a while because it was a very busy holiday season, and I feel like I didn't even have time to think, let alone put together a video. So I've had time to sit down and come up with some things that I think would be beneficial to all you moms and dads out there. And today we're going to be talking about what to expect, or what to really expect when you're expecting. Because I know I was a huge app junkie when I was expecting. I was trying to figure out what exactly I should expect. And I feel like there were some things that it hit the nail right on the head, but then other things that I was like, this was not part of the description. So we are going to go through a couple of things that I jotted down that I think would be beneficial to know, that you could expect this when you're expecting, so that way if it happens to you, you don't totally freak out like I did. So starting the countdown on things that I think that you should know when you are expecting. All right, number 10, plan for swollen everything. And I mean everything. Not just your feet or your hands. Everything swells. Your face swells, body swells, your hands and your feet swells, your vagina swells. At the very end. And that is the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me. I confirmed I'm not the only one, because I have had friends and family members who have had children as well. And my friend at work, we share a lot, and she's like, oh yeah, that's just it's a way of getting ready, but it swells. But I didn't have her along the way on my pregnancy, confirming that weird things that were happening to me were actually in fact normal. I probably would be like, what is going on? But that is something that I did not know happens, and it does. So be prepared for it towards the end. And it might happen for some people earlier than others. And I wasn't even a huge swollen person, but my friend at work, her feet were like massive and they looked purple, and I'd always ask her if she needed help, or should I get her like a shiatsu foot massager or anything like that. She's like, no, it's just happening. I'm just letting it happen. So that's the normal thing, and I think people hear about feet the most. But think about other things as you get ready to have your baby. Another not so fun thing that you could potentially expect to happen, especially if you decide to breastfeed, and in some cases even when you don't, is nipple stretch marks. Seriously. Out of nowhere, I didn't have stretch marks anywhere else except around my nipples, and I did breastfeed, and it did come like once the milk came in, so they were really like popping. But I didn't really expect it to just be like surrounding the nipple area. And it wasn't awesome when they came up, and I did freak out, and I think I cried a little bit just because it's out of the normal, and it's already hard enough being a mom, and you feel like your body changes so much anyways, and imperfections that happen from motherhood are just a thing that we end up having to deal with. But when you think you make it out and you're like, yes, I made it out of this pregnancy without a single stretch mark, and then the very last second, they're like, nipple stretch marks. Really hits you sometimes in the heart, but we made it through it. And I actually used this, I think it's called Bio something on Amazon. I'll have to figure it out and I can link it on this video, but I actually rub that stuff on it every day. It was like a body, maybe bio oil, and it came in my little Amazon like welcome package for doing my registry through them, and that stuff worked because they got rid of all of the nipple stretch marks. Like I don't even have a single one left, so I would highly recommend that product. Number 8 that I was not expecting when I was expecting was to constantly feel bloated. And I mean, comes with the territory potentially, because you got like a meatball sandwich growing inside you, and you're gonna have your room fill up, so it's gonna push on your stomach. But I don't know, I just always felt like after I ate, my body retained way more than it usually did, like water wise, where you feel like bloated. And then I always felt like overly full. Even if I just ate a little bit, I was overly full and bloated. Ugh. And I hope you guys aren't thinking, oh, these are all the negative things in pregnancy. I could make a million reasons why pregnancy is awesome video. Maybe not a million, but the one biggest thing is your growing life. So really just washes the rest of the things that are not super fun away. But I feel like when you're going through a pregnancy, or even when you're a first-time mom and it's after you've had the baby, there's a lot of questions that you're not prepared for, and you usually have to reach out and ask. So that is why I'm making this video, because I probably had a little mini freak out every time one of these was happening. And then once I talked to my coworker and she's like, oh no, I went through that too, I felt a lot better about it. I'm not sure if I've ever heard of a woman who's pregnant peeing less than she did before getting pregnant, but I had to pee all of the time. And it was awful when I was working, because I would get one thing done and I have to go back to the bathroom, and then I get one more thing done and I have to go back to the bathroom. And I was the least efficient person, I feel like, ever, especially towards the end when that baby is getting bigger, because they're really pushing on your bladder. And the apps on pregnancy do cover that, so that's probably not something too new, but I guess I just didn't think it would happen to me, and it definitely did, especially towards the end where you're waking up in the middle of the night and having to go. I guess it's getting you ready for baby, because once baby's there, you're up all of the time anyways. All right, number 6 thing that I feel like this, you could be on one side of the spectrum or the other. You either get atrocious breakouts or you glow like you never have before. And I actually, all my acne went away, and I don't typically have acne. I have food allergies, and if I eat things I'm allergic to, then I get breakouts, which is a vicious cycle. But I'll get it like all on my shoulders, my back. I would get them on my chest, and I'll get some on my face, usually around my jawline, which means your intestines, if you're into like the Chinese face map. But when I got pregnant, everything cleared up. Everything on my shoulders. I could eat anything I wanted. I could eat all my food allergens and I would not break out. And I loved pregnancy for that. But my friend, on the other hand, since she is my opposite, she broke out. We both had girls, and she said her daughter stole her beauty, which they say in the wives' tales. That's how you tell what you're having. However, I had a girl, which I thought for sure I was having a boy, because I had every wives' tale that led to a boy, and I had a girl. She's a very chill girl. I don't know if little boys are chill. I actually think they're kind of like little Tasmanian devils in the beginning, but yeah, so we were completely opposite, but you could have either one of those. So you could have super clear skin or just worst skin you've ever had. Now here's another gross one that I was not expecting, and I think I learned it from my doctor, but the way that you poop can change. So you could be like super regular and go all the time. Then once you're pregnant, you just don't go at all and it just backs up. Or you go like once a week. I stayed regular. I did not take an iron supplement like they suggested that I do. I just made sure that I ate meat and red meat, or like broccoli or other things that are iron and have that nutrient in it, so I could make sure that I was getting enough for me and my daughter. So I stayed the same. However, my sister, when she was pregnant, pretty sure she backed up for like weeks or months, and that final poop after she gave birth like ruined her her toilet. She might kill me for saying this, but it happens, and it's not something that's talked about. It's not something that's normalized. You know, but it would be something to consult a doctor with if it becomes less regular than, you know, what you should be weekly. So something to keep in mind if you just all of a sudden aren't going as much as you usually do. And on the poop topic comes the gas the gas topic. Maybe this has to do with bloating too, but you will fart or toot or whatever you want to call it a lot. I mean, a lot. I didn't know that my coworker was doing this until I was pregnant, and I went over to her and I was like, hey, do you fart a lot when you were pregnant? She's like, oh yeah. She's like, I'd like lean to the side and like a fart would just come out. And I was like, okay, me too. I just feel like I'm farting all the time. She's like, yeah, normal. And I would say, you know, my cross reference that with my mom and my sisters and my friends, that when you're pregnant, you just become a farter. I don't know what happens. Maybe it's the pressure on your intestines. It's just pushing out all the extras to only keep room for what it can in there, or the way that your hormones change and it causes that to happen in your digestive system. I have not looked into that. Although I have a medical background, I should probably know a little bit more on why you get gassy when you're pregnant, but it happens, and just let them rip because you have the excuse that you're pregnant. If anybody's going to tell you something is wrong or you shouldn't be doing that, I mean, you just throw the pregnancy thing in their face and they should pretty much just shut up at that point. All right, towards the end of my pregnancy, I got an extremely stuffy nose, and I found a source that said that that actually can happen, but it was to the point where I almost couldn't breathe stuffy. I mean, nowadays they think it was COVID, you know what I mean? But I do have allergies, but it is not the reason why I would get a stuffy nose. Usually on my allergies, I will sneeze a ton, but I wasn't sneezing, just stuffy. Probably all the bloating and swelling just probably swelled up into my face and closed up my airways, but something to expect. The second thing, and this irritated me the worst, was pelvic pain. A lot of people get sciatica, but nay, this is pelvic pain. So the front, your pelvis, that meets like this, okay, felt like it was ripping apart. Just like anything that was there. It's your pubic symphysis is what it's called, but that was so swollen I could not even walk without that flaring up. And if I did walk, I would be out of commission for the next day, like barely able to get out of bed. I would get some hip pain or like sciatic pinching every now and then, but I mean, it did not even compare to that pubic bone pain. I couldn't run. Starting at like 16 weeks, I couldn't run because of that pain. So like the whole rest of my pregnancy, as I got bigger, it just got worse. So like it went from not being able to run to not being able to walk, or even like fast walk, and like just walking into Target, walking around Target, because you know that's where moms go, and then coming back out, I mean, was enough walking for one day, which stinks when you're trying to stay somewhat in shape or, you know, do any type of fitness when you're pregnant. So I just stuck to mainly lifting, but even some exercises with lifting really flared that up. And I don't think they talk about that in any of the apps that I read. Most of the stuff they talk about is getting that sciatica and kind of like your butt that runs down your leg. But I did not really experience that. And I experienced that pelvic pain, which was a nightmare. Heating and icing definitely helped, and just taking it easy. I mean, I'm a highly active person, so when that happened, I just decided, you know, it's better to be healthy and have a safe pregnancy. So I cut my exercise routine like by 3/4 of probably what I usually did, just to, you know, have minimal pain as possible. The important thing is just resting and keeping your body out of pain when you're pregnant as best as you can. Sometimes yoga would help, or pelvic floor exercises you could potentially look into, but for me, it just hurt with everything that I did. So I just tried to take it easy, especially towards the end. And the very last thing is irritability. And I'm sure you could think, well, yeah, irritability, but no. I got mad at my husband for eating hummus because I wanted it. You're just tired and hormonal, and you're growing a baby, and you might not be somebody who's normally super emotional or super irritable, but there's like added elements that go into it. And like, you could be in a great mood, nothing could be going wrong, and then all of a sudden something that you wouldn't think would irritate you all of a sudden just really gets under your skin. For my case was the hummus, and we laugh about it today because it was like probably one of the biggest arguments in our entire relationship, was the fact that he ate my hummus when I was like 8 weeks pregnant. So I was not very emotional the rest of my pregnancy. And I'm not a very emotional person on a day-to-day basis. So for some reason that night it just got under my skin. But I would say communicate with your partner, take a deep breath. They'll have to realize what you're going through and what you're experiencing, and hopefully, you know, instead of them reacting to you, if you get upset on something like that, they take a breath and, you know, try and help you, and or not eat your hummus in my case. But we'll be doing a video on that eventually if I can get my husband on camera, and we'll go over maybe things that you could expect as a spouse when your partner is expecting, or you know, the guy side of it, since a lot of it is just my side, to hopefully help some guys and some dads out there get ready for the new little bundle of joy. But that is all for my video today. As you can see, it is now dark. So if there is anything that we missed or things that you experienced that you weren't prepared for, leave it in the comments section below. And in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can follow us on Instagram at missionmom_ or on Facebook at mission with a semicolon mom. And until next time, everybody, we're all on the same mission, and that's motherhood. See you later.